Very recently, quite a number of states have come up with, if you like, very bogus packages in form of pension for political leaders of their respective states. The two states that didn't escape our recognition were those of Lagos and Kano states. That is not to say that it is limited to those states. You have it spreading like wildfire. But the big question is, to what extent can a growing democracy such as ours, that has the potentials of producing as much as 20 governors in 2 or 3 decades, to what extent can they afford the kind of packages that are presently arranged for governors, deputy governors who have served those states? Now, speaking about the law, you would clearly appreciate the point when you look at even the Code of Conduct Act, which in its introductory section clearly abhors any form of conflict by public officers. And you would see that these are legislations carefully orchestrated by the legislature, if you like, with the prompting of the executive, to ensure that at the end of their respective tenures, they have what may keep them entirely for life. There is no problem with pensions. But what is the proportionate, how do you relate that with what an average public servant is earning?
Because maybe we should put it in perspective now. Should anybody who is currently holding office as a minister or as a senator or in whatever capacity that has served before, should they be collecting pension while they get what they get now? Before we come into even the issue of the nature of what the law has provided for them to get.
I was coming to that. That first and foremost, it is morally weak to imagine that a governor who had finished his tenure as a governor in a particular state, granted the bogus pension as we are complaining against now, some of them houses too, in the cities where they served, as well as in Abuja, with a lot of other entitlements, including health care, not just for themselves, but for their wives and children, including renewal of their vehicles at very short intervals. Such people who rose to power and stayed in power for just 4 years and at most 8 years cannot enjoy by far more than those traditional public servants who probably are serving the country for upward of 30, 35 years. And I give you this picture. Most of the governors who are presently serving either as ministers or in the Senate are in their 40s and 50s. What that means is that once these laws came into effect, and given that in that same law, their health care is guaranteed, I'm talking of quality health care, it therefore stands to reason that by God's special grace, these people are in the category of persons who will live as much as 90 years. If you extrapolate 40 to 90 years, you have about 50 whooping years waiting on the payroll of their respective states to be able to maintain people who have just served the state for 4 years or at most 8 years. Those who served with all their energy, with the zeal and zest in the public service for more than 35 or so years, are given by far less than what these people are entitled. Section 42, and I'm rounding off on this. Section 42 of the 1999 Constitution clearly abhors any form of discrimination, particularly on account of sex, race, or political exposure. This is one of such discrimination that must suffer serious hiccup once we are organized to rise above this class struggle that has not come up.
All right, just quickly, before we go on break, Serap is saying, as I asked Mr. Malami to see full recovery of over 40 billion naira of public funds that have so far been received from those involved, and to begin to take these steps within 7 days of the receipt of the publication. But from some of the investigation that channels has independently conducted for some of those who are holding offices right now, they are saying the laws are just there, but right now some of these states don't even have the capability to even pay. It looks so much that a lot of them are not being paid.
I have made that point, that if we continue the way, in the trajectory that we have found ourselves, it will mean that in the next 10 or at most 20 years, some of these states will have as much as 10 governors to cater for. Most of these states, as we know them, are unable to meet their financial obligations. Yeah. And how then do you factor that into their exposures?
Right. Just a minute. I understand that we have Prince Dayade on the line now. He's a spokesperson of the PDP Caretaker Committee. We tried to reach him earlier. Now we have him on the line. Mr. Dayade, many thanks for coming on the program. I know you will be preparing for the meeting of the extended caucus tonight, which is scheduled for 8 p.m. What are the focus, or what exactly is the objective of these meetings that you have slated for today and tomorrow? All right, I have a feeling that we lost him there. All right, we'll try to see if we can reconnect with him at some point. But we'll take a short break. But when we return, more on the emoluments and wages for former governors who are serving as ministers and senators. What does the law say? Are they really getting it? That's what we dig deeper when we return from this break. Join us again.